Okay, Chris, let's get to headline number 5. So smash and grab robbers hit several retailers this past holiday weekend. About 80 people entered a Nordstrom department store in East Bay area city of Walnut Creek last Saturday, stealing merchandise until police arrived and arrested 3 people. I feel like a real news reporter reading this story.
You do. You sound like one too.
I do not at all. Best Buy also saw retail crime groups attack several of their stores throughout this past weekend. And retailers are taking a variety of measures here, from adding security guards to locking up merchandise in order to prevent this. And Chris, everybody, your phone was ringing off the hook, man. You are the smash and grab go-to guy. Everybody from CNN to the Star Tribune, everybody wanted your thoughts on this. So why don't you grace us commoners with our Omni Talk listeners with your presence and tell us what you think about smash and grab retailing. Go.
Thanks for that good slag. So the CNN part that Anna's referencing is the Chris Cuomo show called me up on Monday and had me booked to come on and talk about this subject. But let's just say Chris Cuomo likely had some other things going on this week. And so that ended up not playing out as we expect. But yes, they did call the Star Tribune. We talked to them as well. My thoughts are this. My thoughts is I think this is really real, Ann. You look at the trend here. That's what I look at. I try to watch the trends, you and I both. But October, you have Walgreens closing the 5 stores in San Francisco, right? Mm-hmm. Then, mid-November, you have this huge smash and grab job at the Nordstrom. And then over the weekend, you had activity in Chicago and Minneapolis, specifically with Best Buy here in our hometown. So it shows me that the pattern is real. Mm-hmm. And it's the other thing I say is it's really hard for retailers to do anything about this. When it's of the size and scale that we're talking about in terms of just the sheer manpower people are putting behind these organized crime efforts.
Yeah.
Now I have some thoughts on what I would do, but what I would do to thwart
you
this.
And Dr. Oz running for office in 2020. Jesus,
how many pseudo celebrity name drops can we get? But before I do that, what do you think though? What's your take on this whole thing? Like, do you think it's something we got to watch out as an industry?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I immediately think of the employees in this situation. Like,
100%.
When you work at a bank, you're trained to be like, you have robbery training. And I think that's going to have to start happening in retail situations. And you're already having a hard enough time finding people to staff your retail stores. And now I have to be prepared to ward off somebody that's coming in with a crowbar, or, is like, you're not going to do anything to stop it. So I actually think that retailers need to be making the case here for, more technology in the stores, or rethinking the footprint of the stores. I think this makes a case for more showroom style things, more dark store retailing, locker programs. We have a video coming out that Best Buy is trying to do this. They know that this is an issue. How do you create a way for people to get product without having to, have it every single piece of inventory on the floor for people to come and take? So, I mean, I think I'll get a lot of flack from that. People want to come in and have the convenience of still being able to pick something up in store. But, do you need to look at 15 different phone chargers at Best Buy? No, you don't. I don't think you do. I think, you still have that consult moment where you have people available to help. But the Apple Store has been doing this for years. Go meet with somebody, have the staff on floor, have one of each model out for display, and then go in the back and get the thing, and then you're done. There's just so many other ways that I think that retailers can be using to not have this kind of issue, and fix that within the stores until legislation or something changes.
Yeah, I mean, I think your point's interesting too, because I remember Best Buy, remember when they shut down at the beginning of the pandemic, they retained 70% of their sales.
Yeah.
And then they went to appointment only models. So, that's not necessarily something that can't work. That's something I hadn't thought of too. I think that's interesting. I think the issue I have with this whole discussion too is a lot of you could say, let's use technology to solve it. RFID is one that I've been seeing bandied about that I think is probably the most.
Yeah, that was cool. The lemon stuff that they found. Yeah.
But the problem is it still deals with everything after the fact, right? It doesn't help protect the employees and the customers.
Right.
And, I've used this anecdote before. The scariest I've ever been, or the most scared I've ever been, was when I was working Black Friday crowd control in Cheyenne, Wyoming. And I thought I was seriously in trouble. It was scary as hell. And that's essentially what's going on here. And so you have to nip this in the bud upstream, I think, so it doesn't get out of control. You can try to do everything you want after, but So from my perspective, like, I think that means you got to look at legislation, like in terms of, what are the penalties when people participate in these types of smash and grab collective jobs?
Right.
Are they more stringent when you're shoplifting on your own versus with other people?
Right.
I think that's something the industry's got to think about lobbying for. But the other thing too that I think has gotten lost in this conversation, and Ann, I want to know your thoughts on this, is what's the responsibility of the resale platforms? Because the resale platforms essentially are acting like a fence. They're taking a commission on all these goods. Right. And at what point do we hold them liable for this or demand more from them on this? And I think there's ways to do that too. Like, do we hold back payments to certain businesses that are reselling over a period of time? Whatever the window is that these things typically pop up and shut down.
Right.
Like there are things that, and I've only been thinking about this for a week. I'm sure if you get better minds than mine on this, you can think of ways to kind of curb that to a greater degree, especially if they start to get penalized for it, because that will start holding their feet to the fire. I don't know. What do you think on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be really difficult to do. I don't know that we have that solution anytime soon, but I think that makes sense. I mean, your point about they're also profiting off of the sales of these is correct. And I think it's only going to get the reseller who's stealing this is only going to get more sophisticated too. Like right now, my guess is, we're looking at Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist and stuff just to offload this stuff quickly. But I do think, as these rings get more sophisticated, we're going to start seeing entire, new resale platforms that exist to get to offload inventory. And there has to be some regulation there. But I don't know if the Facebook and Google trials and all the things that are going on right now in Congress are any indication. I think we're a long way off from anybody understanding this enough to make an impact in the short term.
Yeah, that's the sad part. But yeah, I mean, you and I were talking this week, which I thought was an interesting conversation too, is like, you could monitor the pricing of the different items that are going out through these resale platforms to see what's hot and, very different than what's nationally happening. And that could flag something really quickly. There's a lot of, that's actually a really fascinating topic to talk about. I wish we had more time, but but I think it's something to watch. I don't think it's going to slow down anytime soon, but who knows? We'll see.
Well,
all right, Ann.
Be careful out there, employees, you especially this week.